Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are, week 42 of the Financial Roundtable. And I love this theme. Money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen and they got to have its scale. It's been a crazy 12 months and a lot of things affecting money in, money out, money issues and opportunities. And it's awesome to be able to sponsor this for 42 weeks and going strong, keeping in mind that what we try to do at Qnity is to move from a state of chaos and confusion and overwhelm into a state of clarity, which ultimately could result in a greater financial future for you, your team, your peers, and the professional beauty industry. We couldn't do these roundtables without our brain trust. These are people that are drafted to contribute, as Sheila is going to do today, and they have a wealth of wisdom and ideas that we tap into. And I think it's fair to say that we have saved or earned millions in the last 42 weeks because of this extraordinary member group of the Brain Trust, which keeps being added. Sheila is going to be making a repeat appearance today, Sheila Wilson. Last week we had Nick Secourt. He's an accountant. I think Nick's joining us today. He answered a bunch of questions and dealt with a lot of things that are time sensitive as it relates to government relief, some of his observations in terms of the financial practices, as well as what drives Nick and I both crazy. This week's guest is Sheila Wilson, who is a salon owner in Memphis, and also she is president of Intercoiffure. There's a lot of great lessons that will come from Sheila. And much of it has to do with an event that she was very involved with last weekend. That's Intercoiffure. They had a live in-person event in Memphis, and there's a lot of lessons on that I think apply to all of us. Past recordings of the roundtable are in the Plan for Profits portal. You can let Aaron or Michelle know in the chat how you get access to that. It's a wealth of wisdom. We do want to acknowledge a couple of sponsors we have, Aura and Vish. They've done great segments that are educational and are stored in the previous recordings. The 9 Grid is Qnity's, one of Qnity's award-winning grid-based tools. Is that kind of annoying to say it's award-winning? I just can't get over it. I'm just so proud of us being able to have something visually help people as much as the 9 Grid. I can't help myself. Anyway, it should have been furnished for you. It's a great place to do a mind map and take notes from today. I do want to let you know of something. I mentioned it last week, and by the intent to help schools and students, which are such an important part of the ecosystem, we are going to be starting a financial roundtable that is for schools. Now, if you want to be involved in that, let us know. You can email me, put something in the chat. This is really for school owners to help them look at the financial issues and opportunities that affects the school model. I have these images side by side, and there's a subtle thing to the design here. I don't know if you would have noticed, but if you notice the image on the left, the financial is set right at the 10 o'clock hour. So the Wednesday financial roundtables that are for salons and spas will be at 10 a.m. Central Time. And if you look at the image on the right, you notice the word financial is set right in the center, indicating it will be noon on Wednesdays. If you're interested in being involved in the financial roundtable for schools, let us know. So in really thinking about this week and a topic, Sheila came to mind for a couple different reasons. Number one is Sheila is the president of Intercoiffure, and she's just experienced what it's like to actually have a live in-person event. And there's so many lessons that come out of it. And part of it is very top of mind for me as we planned for our, one of our in-person events in the fall. And the theme is really about coming back together or together again. So the other thing that's relevant about what Sheila has to say is how meetings and education has changed as a result of new models and how things, over the last year have changed. So how does this fit the P&L? This is actually one of the original sheets from when we started the roundtable. So we started out very small organically. And we did is we started to break down what the new P&L would look like early on. I mean, this was way back in May. We knew that pricing was going to change. There was business interruption. And then from a cost standpoint, certain things were going to change, like rent, PPE, professional fees, repairs. Well, education and meetings is another area. And I think it's significant enough to warrant the conversation. So anyway, with that, Sheila, let's get you off the mic and let's have you say hello. Let me see if I can unmute you here. All right. Let's see if you can unmute yourself. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Morning. So this is going to be pretty laughable because I'm probably the most untechy person to become involved with the highest point of technology in the last year during the pandemic. So it's, my husband laughs all the time. He's going, now tell me again how you've evolved into this when you can't even turn your phone on. So yeah, but I have learned a lot. And so thank you for inviting me to speak today and share what we've learned.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to acknowledge you because as somebody that is president of Intercoiffure, and there's a lot of people that are on this session that have something where they contribute in the industry and give of their time freely without anything in return. So as I understand it, being president of Intercoiffure is not a paid position, right?
Not hardly.
So
no,
your volunteer hours has got to be in the, I can't even imagine how many volunteer hours you put into it.
It's quite a lot.
Okay,
But
and acknowledging,
like you, Tom, when you love something and you're passionate, it's not about the hours.
So first of all, shout out to you because you filled some very big shoes in the hands of Frank Gambuza taking over. And then you happen to step in during the most difficult time in the history of Intercoiffure, and you've handled it with grace and professionalism. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So the thing that really struck me is Michelle and I were talking about a good topic, and I popped into the Intercoiffure meeting in Memphis. So let me sort of set the stage. So basically, last weekend you had a live event. And the live event was actually in person. So an in-person event like a conference like this is new to me in the last year. So that is what's so intriguing to me. So you had several people fly to Memphis and you did a hybrid event. You had about how many people present physically?
We had 90.
And then you had people virtually.
We had over 742 people logged in for 3/4 of the 2 days.
So that's amazing. And I want to be clear with our audience today, the relevance of really where I'm going with this conversation isn't what goes into doing an Intercoiffure or 2 to 10, but how this relates to individual businesses. That's really the lessons that we're pulling out of this. So in doing a live event like this, let's first of all, there's a huge emotional component. I want to actually get to that one next. But there's a lot of lessons in doing an event, whether it's Intercoiffure or an event. And so some of the things you shared with me is how education in salons going forward is going to be different as it relates to live events and actually how it hits the P&L. So let's talk about that first. You were sharing a story in Norway about some cutting. Let's go there for a moment.
Well, let me go back to the fall of 2020 was the first time we did a virtual event. And I realized that all of the technology that we needed and our AV team that usually does our shows actually came to Memphis. And I have 1,700 square feet up front that I dedicate to education and events and things. So they literally fill that whole space with their equipment and we stream to the world. But and I realized, and I had to put in more gigabytes, whatever they call it. I had to go to a 5G and have everything changed around. And from that, I realized the quality of having a higher form of transmission from videos and sending it out and receiving it. So I was going, how come they're so clear? And they said, well, because you've got greater strength bringing it in. So, you see all these ads and you're thinking, oh, you have 5G, whatever, but it really makes a difference. So from that, I decided to keep it in my salon because I wanted to do more education. And to answer your question about where it led me was, I had this guy from Norway who was going to do a haircut. I was going to fly him in for a haircutting class in our salon. And of course we couldn't, he couldn't leave Norway. And he said, I could do a video. Well, people are videoed out, sitting and watching. You learn, but you're not really refined. That hands-on, one-on-one person when you're learning haircutting or even application of color, you've got to be able to interface with each other, correct? So because I had the quality of technology in the salon now, that he came in through just like we're doing, and he was able to see through the cameras that I have my team with their models, and as he demonstrated on his model, he could see what they're doing, and he would point out to them, no, you're not holding that correctly. And it was just an aha moment for me. And I knew then that this was the way education in salon was going to be in the future.
Yeah, so basically this is the beginning of a new era in this, and that's really part of where I'm going here. This is very real. And let's look at your education P&L item, right? So basically you have a world-class educator, no flights, no hotel, all right, no travel time. And he's able to instantly create a face-to-face connection with members of your team to do a live cutting course. So basically what this does, and again, this is a financial roundtable. We're going to get to the heart in a moment here, but from a P&L standpoint, basically what you have is a lower education cost, higher talent. And then what about downtime with your staff? How does it affect that too?
They loved it better because they didn't feel like, as soon as the class was over, they didn't feel like they had to hang around and be involved. They have their own life. So they loved it. They absolutely loved that type of interfacing on a big screen. And it was so clear. But talking about finances, I had to really swallow when I found out how much it was costing me a month when I first, I knew I added this and this and this, but when you actually get the bill and that now you're up to $721 a month just for technology, that almost doubled.
So let me make sure I'm clear and we're clear with everybody else. So before you had internet connection and it was adequate to run your business,
right?
You did is you dramatically upgraded to 5G, and as a result, your monthly expense went up.
Doubled.
It doubled. All right. And so it's an investment. Do you regret the investment?
No, because it decreased my budget that I had planned for education, because now I don't have to send people out. I don't have to bring people in necessarily. I have equally the same quality of education hands-on through that technology. So used to, I had every quarter I'd have fly somebody in from around the world, the country or whatever. So my costs were high, but it was so good because the team loved it, and it gave a great value for them to work with me, but it was a huge cost. Now I can do the same thing and lower my costs. So really and truly, next year, when at the end, now that we're back to normal and we've got this set up on a regular basis, I'm going to be probably maybe 15% higher in my bottom line because of it.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so you went somewhere else with upgraded internet, and to certain people, it's like we're stating the obvious here, but I don't think it's quite so obvious. When I work with clients and they're looking at developing a P&L and a forecast, and they're really looking at their expenses. So to really break this apart a little bit more, you have another benefit of the increased internet. I think this is also something that relates to a new trend. talk about client amenities for a moment, because client amenities for you, typical, it was coffee, it was, I think you had cookies, you had, talk about amenities before pandemic and amenities now. And it's a good place to go next.
Well, all these little items that we do to give better service really wasn't service. It was related to just little happies that we would give them to make them feel warm and receptive, right? Well, when they come in now, they don't even care about it. They've been bringing their own water, their own coffee, but they bring their computers because now they're working from home. And so they can justify bringing their computers in. I've got these great little roll arounds that I ordered, and we just put them over in the corner. We push that roll around. I have great reception. They are so happy because most of my clientele are large business people, and they are dealing with, they'll do Zoom calls from while they're getting their hair colored. They're not on there, but they are talking to everybody. I couldn't do that with my other system, but I can now. And so they're loving it.
So this is part of another new model. I mean, so basically what you did is you're shifting your amenities. You know, spending a ton of money, and it's another big expenditure in a salon is amenities, and you've shifted your spend. You've adapted from a lot of tangible things that relate with a luxury experience or a high-end experience. And now what you've done is just say, okay, this has changed. They don't really care about that stuff. What they really care about is that they can easily and quickly get online, get plugged in, get their work done. And I think it's really smart of you. And here's another benefit of upgrading your technology, if I'm hearing you right.
Absolutely. And I get more compliments on that. They don't even miss the coffee and the extra water and stuff, but I get more compliments from the men and the women when they leave saying, thank you for having such great Wi-Fi service.
Yeah. All right. So those are some of the nitty gritty P&L type items. So we can come back to that in a little bit. And I'm really curious to hear what, if anything, comes up in the chat here. But let's go to the event for a moment and the experience of the human connection. Now, several people on this call, you know, they've had team meetings. They might have had a client. They're going to have team meetings. They would have client events, but very few people actually traveling to conferences and to gatherings. And community is so important, and building community, whether it's through Intercoiffure, Serious Business, 2 to 10, whatever, is so important. So you had all these people gather in Memphis. And what was the experience like to have everybody back together like that?
It was like going home for Christmas. Everybody came in. They either, you know, some of them would still sort of bump you with their fists, or touch you. But at the end of the 2 days, everybody was hugging, and we did everything by the mandates. We distanced. We had the mask. We had sanitizers, but it was so emotional. I think I told you that. You know, we had masks with our logo on it, but for the fall, I'm going to have Kleenex with our logo on it because it was very emotional.
Yeah. And where did the emotion come from? Was it just old friends seeing each other, or just this opportunity to reconnect human to human and get away from this cyberspace that separates you and I today and everybody else on this call?
Well, you know, that's an interesting thought. Obviously, it's like a family with an Intercoiffure, just like 2 to 10. It's your family, and people have connected all through the pandemic. But it's not the same as actually seeing them in person. And then you have so much to share because you stayed in communication for so long. Where sometimes if you don't have all that that communication between one event to the next, you sit down and you really don't know how to start up a conversation. It's like, you know, going on a date for the first time with somebody all over again. But that wasn't the way this time. It was like, oh, I got to finish this conversation with you from where. So I think the connection that we've had through your group, through other associations that we're all involved in, and then of course within Intercoiffure, it was really and truly like just coming home and seeing each other after being away for a while. But we hadn't lost. It wasn't we hadn't lost that connection. We lost that opportunity to be together and sort of, I don't even know how to put it in words, Tom. It's really emotional just thinking about it again, just how you felt when you walk in and saw those faces.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I just know how excited I am to see. I mean, we got a ton of people on this call, and how wonderful it would be to be present together. There's a whole different level of richness, and technology's gotten really rich. And I think we're moving into a very exciting era, because technology and the ability to connect with your friend in Norway, and the richness of interactions now because of better technology, better understanding, better training, but then to bring the human piece back, I think we're moving into a golden era of bringing back the human connection, but also elevating and creating opportunities with technology. That's my perspective.
Well, we started a cutting council within a coiffure, and we use the same technology. And Stephen Moody, who is our director, he's been working with 5 of our team members from 5 different members' salons. And you should see the increased techniques of their craft just from using that technology, that they can see each other and hands-on. So it is going to be the way of in-salon education moving forward. There's no doubt.
So I had an opportunity to join on Sunday. I came in by live stream. It was a ton of fun. And the topics that I talked about, I want to throw back at you. What I talked about when I was in front of the group is, and I haven't shared this with members of the roundtable, but I really feel like we're moving into a renaissance period. We're moving into a rebirth. And the roaring 20s came after the pandemic of the 1900s, early 1900s. And maybe it's just my theme of hope plus action and being an unapologetic optimist. But I think if I'm reading the tea leaves here, right, I can only speak for me professionally. This has been the most profound 12 months professionally for me, I think, in my career. There's so many rebirths of things that we've already done, and births of new relationships, new markets, new business models. I'm really curious. There's been a big theme in these calls about silver linings. What about renaissance? What about a theme as it relates to a renaissance, and how many different things over the last year have been births of new things or rebirths? So for you personally, can you relate with that, the concept of a renaissance?
Well, I think personally, I totally agree with you. I think with organizations and manufacturers, I think, that term back to the future, I think that's where we are. We're going back to our basics. We're going back to the very fundamentals of why we are in our business, who we are, what's important to us. And I think that we're going to be better. And really and truly, I think this time next year, we're going to look back and we won't even remember the pain. We're only going to remember the joy of what we've learned from it. Changes and restructuring is hard. It's confusing, and it's just like, even if you just redo your house, it's disruptive. But at the end, you sit back and you look at it and you're going, wow, I'm so glad we did that. We didn't do the pandemic, but we certainly took that obstacle and made it into something that we are going to look back and say, thank God that we had the opportunity to do these changes and make our lives better. So I do agree with that.
Yeah. I did invite someone else to possibly contribute, and let me see if he's logged in. So Terry McKee, you weren't certain if you were going to be able to be here part of the whole call. I think it'd be great to hear from Terry. If you can come off the mic for just a moment, I've got a few questions for you. And Terry, are you there? And Aaron or Michelle, maybe you can help unmic him. All right, and he might might be multitasking.
You're just getting on, Tom. I wanted to tell you what we did in
Yeah,
this
please.
event. We had two events going on at the same time. We had one that we had pre-recorded educational presentations that we had going out to the streaming, while we had personal members only. So it was an inclusive, exclusive event simultaneously. So when you came in and spoke to our members, there was a pre-recorded presentation by, I think, Tarina going up, who's the artistic director of Australia, who is going over. So the world saw that, but our members saw the panel and the discussions between the members, that we wanted to be exclusive, but we wanted to be inclusive to the world of what we were doing within our organization. So it was quite unique. And it was the first time it's been produced like that. But I think that too is going to go into all of our associations and become a norm.
Awesome. Terry.
I'm here.
Good morning, and thanks for the early morning drafting. In the interest of full disclosure, Sheila let me know that she was having a big storm in Memphis. And I said, Terry, I might need to, let's just see here. Tom, this is of you. Okay, so Sam Bricata just sent me a text with an image. I think I'll have to pull it up in a moment here. So Terry, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. And you?
You know, I'm doing great. Thank you. You've been a regular contributor to the Roundtable, but you've done it behind the scenes, and you've been on most of these roundtables, and you've had some great insights, and I've been dying to get your voice up. So here we are, your voice is up here. And, you know, I think we covered several things as it related to the Intercofure event. What I'm interested from you is the whole concept of a professional renaissance. And Terry, you're a big optimist like myself. Let's hear a little bit of your truth in terms of some of your perspectives and what's changing. And I think you could center it around like meetings and the Salon P&L, or you can go a direction that feels more personal to you.
Wow, that's a multi-spoked question.
I know, and I wouldn't throw it at many people other than you.
Well, you know, I can think circularly. So Renaissance, you know, I think it begins with reinvention. One of the silver linings of the pandemic was the opportunity to have the time to reinvent your company in the direction that you wanted it to go. And so that's the direction that we took. We also, you know, Tom, something that you've said a few times has always rung true with me, the middle. You know, the middle is so important. So we didn't want to go all the way back to where we were or all the way into our vision. You know, we wanted it to unfold slowly but surely and steadily and fastly. So that's what we've done. And even down to the parts of the optics for the guests to see, you know, we didn't want them walking into a COVID war zone, but we wanted them knowing that their safety was our main concern and the safety of our teams. So I think that with that said, the future holds the opportunity to use that reinvention muscle outside the crisis of the pandemic, you know, to actually build that muscle ongoingly.
Awesome. I love that. Now, Terry, so you're an innovator. Are there 1, 2, or 3 innovations or reinventions in your business model, and just bringing everybody up to speed? So you got 3 locations down in Florida in the Sarasota area. Market leader, you got a business partner, James, who's awesome. You're very active in the industry, and you've got a yang to your yang in terms of with James. Where have you found reinvention in your business?
Well, just in technology alone, you know, to Sheila's point of education and bringing in education that way, technology has become more and more important. And the human touch has become equally as important, because of the focus on technology. So we want to be high tech and high touch.
Right.
And that's a direction that we've gone. Another direction that we've gone is we've reinvented our education program to bring it back in-house, but in a different way, in a more, in a safer, more, a safer, more hands-on way.
Yeah, yeah. So for Sheila and Terry here, and what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up pretty soon here. A couple other questions for you as salon owners. So Sheila and Terry, how's your growth looking these days? Sheila, I know when I talked to you about this, oh gosh, throughout the last year, you were like many businesses down maybe up to 30% or something like that. Are you seeing the revenues come back at your salon in Memphis, Sheila?
Yes, we are not down, but about, get this, 5%
Wow.
right now. And a lot of it is we have larger tickets. We have actually less consumers coming in at one time, but they're coming in consistently. They're still coming in a little bit longer, but the tickets are larger. Our team had a little problem coming back working together because they were so used to working like being only 2 or 3 in this area at a time. And that's a whole nother story. But, our sales are up. I just was with my CPA, but because we cut back on budgets of education going more to technology, because we don't have, all the amenities, and we're doing a lot of other things that we already have in. We're just rearranging our money, and I found out that we're saving money. So my CPA was just elated when he was looking at it. He said, "I can't believe the amount of net profits you're getting over, and your increase in sales are going up. I mean, constantly." He said, "I thought it was going to take you longer to come out of this." So it's good. It's very good.
I have to, and speaking to the group here today, I have seen healthy P&Ls and balance sheets, in many cases, stronger than ever. And, I'm hearing about that a lot, is that, growth is coming back, but even being now negative 10, 15, 20%, many of these businesses are still reporting higher profitability. And I think April McDaniel's echoing that too. So how crazy. And if someone would have told me a year ago, Nick is agreeing with that too. If somebody would have told me a year ago, when we were in the thick of this, scared as hell, all right, trying to just keep people alive with hope, that we'd be talking to each other about stronger P&Ls and balance sheet a year later. Wow. I mean, that is a systemic silver lining that's going to fuel this industry way into the future. That's my point of view. Terry.
Well, no, I don't mean this to be a pun, but it's like we've all been vaccinated to a healthier P&L because of the changes that we made. I mean, it just brought so much light into what I was doing and why I was doing it. And so it's been really good for me.
Yeah. Terry, do you want to comment about sales? I mean, about P&L and balance sheet and state of your financial union?
Yes, it's amazing because our sales aren't still quite up to where they were, but our down is very low percent. I work in concepts, so our profitability is up, our cash flow is up. It's a pleasure. I was on part of the reason I told you I didn't know if I'd make this call is I was on a finance meeting before this. And it is such a pleasure. It's a consciousness shift from juggling and adding to your money market to knowing your profitability is up and your cash flow is strong.
Yeah.
And that's another place where we've transformed is we've committed to keep that trend going into the Renaissance.
Yeah, I'm just blown away by this. Let me look at some of the comments. Good morning, Robert Cromings. How are you? It was great to spend time with you a couple weeks ago. He's saying great news, and it is great news for the industry and the small business community, which makes up 99% of businesses in the US. Lisa Justice, pace of recovery is a beautiful surprise. I agree with that. Let me see, April McDaniel. I love you're on here, April. You're a great contributor, Kapsa Adi. A big thing I've seen is when prior to COVID, there was not much focus on the balance sheet. There is now. Business owners are really focused on the balance sheet and the P&L. Such great wisdom. Usually, if I'm going to look at the financial health of a business, I'm going to start with the balance sheet. And there really wasn't much awareness about that. Nick agreed, stronger financial conditions, so on and so forth. So I love the trend that things are going. Terry, thank you for jumping in on very short notice as a backup plan in case Sheila's technology, because of the Memphis storm, didn't deliver. And I know I put you on the spot this morning and you're multitasking. So I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for being part of these and everything that you do, Terry McKee. I mean, Terry McKee, you do a hell of a lot out there. So you deserve a big acknowledgement and applause. So thank you.
Well, and I just want to acknowledge Sheila and her team because what an amazing, I wasn't able to be at the event in person and I felt like I was, you know, so it was an amazing, amazing event.
Awesome. Great. Sheila, I want to again award you the $1 million light bulb for your contribution in the brain. I believe this is your second one. So you will have as part of your wall of fame these. So thank you for everything you do, for contributing today. For agreeing, you've got to be wiped out. I'd be wiped out if you, but you've got that energy and you're always willing to help. So thank you for, the 1,000 hours that you put in. And so applause to you and thank you for sharing today, Sheila Wilson.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Terry, you too.
Thank you.
All right. So let's see here, guys. Let's see what we have. First of all, I like to see who's on the call today. Who the heck is with us? I'm going to go in reverse order today. Good morning, Wendy from our team. It's good to see you. Thanks for all you do. And hi, Todd and Sam, Jay and Sam Bricata. Sam, I did get your text. Thank you. And thanks for putting me on the spot on Sunday with your curveball question that made me crack up. Robert Passage, thank you for joining us today. It's awesome you were able to be with us from Pivot Point and everything that you do. That's so amazing. And some of the work that we're doing together that we'll be announcing soon. Robert Cromings, great to have you. Hello, Rebecca. Nick, you were a guest last week. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Melissa, Melanie. Good morning, Megan. You're up early from down in Arizona. Hello, Marcia Power from Texas, and Mark. Marilyn Iloff, good morning. Hello, Linnell Lynch. I hope you're doing well this morning. Louisa, how are you? Lisa Justice, hi. Hi, Linda. Good morning, Kip. How are you today? And Kelly P and Kelly C. Good morning, Carla from California. Karen and Joe DeAnda. I'm going to have you guys back on as a guest in the roundtable, Joe and Karen from Colorado. Good morning, John. Glad you could join us. Hi, Jennifer Parker. Jennifer, you're joining us from Aura. Thank you for the work that you do at Aura and for helping with these roundtables. Good morning, Jenner. James Griffith. Hi, James. Ginger, Connie, Colleen, Christine Griffith, Christine B. Chris Pritchard, you're on with us from Canada. I love that. Good morning. Glad you joined us. Hello, Kathy, Candace. Hi, Bonnie C. I'm glad you joined us too. And Ben, how are you? Ashley, April, Anna, Amanda Hare. Amanda, I did see the press release that went out today. You sent this to me by text. Really cool. So I'm just going to show this up to the group here. Big press release on the acquisition of a salon. So good. So great about that, Amanda. Hello, Allison. Glad you joined us. And then I'm not sure who else is on the call. We have some people logged in that we don't have a name next to. All right. So before we wrap up, let's see here. Sheila, we awarded you the $1 million light bulb. I just keep showing this image. I don't know why, it's just so awkward, but it just reminds me that there's so many silver linings out there. And this phrase is something that I think is in the spirit of community and the financial roundtable community. And, you know, having the opportunity for people to tell their truth during these calls is a really big joy. A reminder, we've got our Qnity in Action program. If you want to work with a coach between Carrie, Heath, and Jody. We also have another coach, Candace Gliata. We just had a coaching call yesterday, and the impact that's being made out there is just amazing. I'm so proud of these guys. If you would like to get a fresh look at your business, you could reach out to Aaron from our team. You could reach out to me, and we can schedule a complimentary gap analysis where we break down scores as it relates to different functions of the business and different key areas of opportunity. And then again, a lot is going on in the world of grow or go. Businesses making decision whether they're going to double down with growth and you know, address some of their cash liquidity to make really smart investments. And then we have many people that are using this as an opportunity to firm up what their future looks like with a transition plan that in many cases includes selling or bringing in partner with key employees. So anyway, again, if you are interested in being part of the Financial Roundtable for schools, it's going to start on May 12th. I'm curious to see who's interested in being involved in that. We're going to start small and grow organically. And again, the difference just going forward is the Financial Roundtable that we've been going through for these 42 or 43 weeks is 10 a.m. Central Time, hence where the word financial is, get it, 10 o'clock. And then the other roundtable that's going to be for schools is going to be at 12 o'clock. So anyway, guys, that is what I have for you today. I don't have any other closing thoughts. I already gave you my thoughts today. I think it is a wonderful time to be alive, and it's a wonderful time to be in business, and it's a wonderful time to be in the professional beauty industry, especially when you have people sharing their wisdom like Sheila, Terry, and members of our Brain Trust. So with that, guys, we're going to call it a wrap. We'll be on again next week, same time, same place. Who's our guest? I don't know yet. We're going to find out. You'll find out. But I'll tell you this, it'll be a great guest. And it might be one of you. So if you're interested in being involved as a guest, let me know. And I think next week we will probably move to a multiple person guest. There's several other topics that I'm just dying to explore and certain trends to unpack. So Trent, good morning, by the way. I don't know if I said hi to you. Oh, you're listed as a panelist for some reason. You snuck in. So, all right, guys, let's call it a wrap. We'll see you next week. Thanks again. And here is to hope and action and ultimately having a renaissance in your business and life. Thanks to all of you. We'll see you next time. Bye.